the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
America decides 2024. Let's go live to Chief Election Analyst Tom Connell. Tom, 538 Electoral College votes. That's what we're talking about today. 270, the magic number for the winning candidate. Well, where will this election be won and lost?
We know it's always the swing states, but they can change over time, Kieran, which is worth pointing out. Let's look at the recent history, the Trump history, if you like, in the US. So we go back to 2016 when Donald Trump won, of course, against Hillary Clinton. You can see 306 Electoral College votes. How did he do that? He flipped the so-called blue wall. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania all turned red. But it's worth noting, so did Florida, and it's 29 Electoral College votes. And it hasn't gone back. So that was a swing state then, it's not anymore. That's what I mean about those swing states changing. When we saw 2020 and Joe Biden, you can see the blue wall reappears, Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania. Also though, the biggest surprise in that election, look at this little pocket of blue amongst the red, Georgia. So that's what I mean again around these swing states changing. You saw the eventual math, 306 to 232. We know in US elections, turnout is a massive factor. And look at this change that we've seen over time. 2012, 59% of the eligible voting population turned out. That bumped up just a little bit in 2016. Donald Trump won that election. Look at the surge here, though. Even in a COVID era, a pandemic era when it was starting to take effect, 66% we could see the turnout. So a massive increase in terms of that turnout. So we know there the Democrats managed to up their turnout. They got people out to vote. We don't have compulsory voting in the US. Donald Trump's voters, they'll turn out, we know that. So will the Democrats turn out is going to be a massive factor in this election. So as we're looking at the electoral map, what the other thing we'll go through today is scenario planning, what's going to happen. As you can see here, we're giving away these states, unless there's a major shock in any of these. So how does either candidate get up to 270 from here? Let's start with Kamala Harris and, for example, give her New Hampshire, which would be expected. Donald Trump as well. Look, we've seen some very interesting polling, haven't we, out of Iowa. Let's assume that that's a bit of an outlier and he takes that state. And the most likely flip state, Arizona as well, given all the issues there around borders. Then you get 230 to 226. Now we're getting into, okay, what will likely happen from here? No certainties. Let's say Georgia, which the Republicans are talking up, goes to him. You see Donald Trump gets to 246, and then he hangs on to North Carolina. He did hang on to that last time, even in a Joe Biden win. Suddenly you think, is this trouble for Kamala Harris? She's on 226 when we get to the real toss-up states. So how can she win from here? The interesting part is she doesn't have to win every state from here. Donald Trump could also take Nevada because it's a relatively small number of Electoral College votes. That gets him to 268. From here, Kamala Harris would have to carry the rest of the state. So that's where it gets tricky, of course. But her campaign does feel pretty good about Wisconsin and Michigan. And that's when you get to a real knife edge. And that's what could happen at this election, that it all comes down to Pennsylvania. If Kamala Harris takes that in this scenario planning, she squeaks into 270. But of course, if it's Donald Trump instead, you can see he gets over the line a bit more solidly. A lot to play out. No certainties when it comes to any of these swing states. Yes, polling has different candidates in the lead and Donald Trump leads in more of them, but all of that polling within the margin of error, Kieran. And of course, turnout, as I said, could flip any of those states, any of those results in terms of expectations.
A very good point on the turnout front. It's who gets out that vote, isn't it, Tom? We'll talk to you soon.